Cincinnati. Miami at Minnesota. Tennessee at Pittsburgh. New England at the Jets. The Giants at the Colts. And the Saints at the 49ers. Hey, this is Tom from Offsides. This is the Week 2 edition. Fatty Arbuckle, also known as Kevin, is not with us for this week. He had an important meeting to go. So it's just going to be me and my partner Ant asking me the questions, getting you ready for Week 2.
So Tom, Baltimore coming off the win from the Jets. They're at Bengals. Who wins?
I'm going to take Baltimore in this game, even though they're on the road, and you have Cincinnati, who went 6-0 in the AFC North last season. The reason I'm going to take Baltimore is because I think the addition of Anquan Boldin and TJ Houshmandzadeh is going to pay big dividends in this game. Last year when Cincinnati played them, they had two shutdown corners, Jonathan Joseph and Leon Hall, who could shut down Mason and Mark Clayton. This year, you got Boldin and you got Houshmandzadeh. You saw in the Monday Night Football game last week what they were able to do to the Jets corners. Antonio Cromartie couldn't stick with any of them. And Kyle Wilson was getting beat by Anquan Boldin all game. And I think that the Ravens, their defense is good enough to keep this game around in the teens, even though Baltimore has a weak spot at the corner position. I think they'll do a decent job against Chad Ochocinco and Terrell Owens. And that's why I'm going to take Baltimore. It's going to be a close defensive game, and nobody wins defensive games like the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, next we got Miami against Brett Favre and the Vikings.
The Vikings are at home, and that's the big factor on why I think that they're going to be able to come away with this win, probably by 7 to 10 points. The Vikings went 9-0 at home last year, and in half those games they were able to put Tavares Jackson in the fourth quarter to finish up, to have mop-up duty. Miami, they lost Jared Odrick. They also lost their other backup defensive end. It's going to hurt them in the run stopping. I know that Carlos Dansby had a big game against Buffalo last week, but I think Peterson's going to be able to go for around 100, keep the ground game going. Favre's going to have a more improved week. You got Greg Camarillo facing against his former team, knows all the tricks of that Miami defense. And the Dolphins are built around running the ball. Chad Henne didn't have a great performance against Buffalo last week. That's why I don't think they're going to be able to have something against a better defense in Minnesota that was able to hold Drew Brees to 14 points in New Orleans. So I'm going to take Minnesota 27-17.
Will Pittsburgh be able to stop Chris Johnson and the Titans?
This is going to be the week. You can call me on right now that this is going to be the week that Chris Johnson has held under 100 rushing yards. He's 2 away from Barry Sanders' record of 14 straight 100-yard games. This is the week that Pittsburgh does it. They very rarely allow a 100-yard rusher, and I don't think Chris Johnson's going to be able to get it. Last week, Oakland shut him down pretty good, except for that one long touchdown run. So I think that Pittsburgh, with Casey Hampton, Aaron Smith, James Ferrier, all of them, they're going to be able to shut them down, and Chris Johnson will have around 70 to 80. But not the huge game that we're expected. I don't think Vince Young is going to be able to figure out the Dick LeBeau 3-4 defense. Troy Polamalu is going to have a big game. And Dennis Dixon's it's going to be not a big scoring game. Dennis Dixon will manage a game just like he did against Atlanta last week. And I have Pittsburgh 16, Tennessee 13.
All right, Tom Brady and the Patriots against the New York Jets.
This is the toughest game I had to pick all week. I really have no idea. It's a toss-up. I'm going to go with the New York Jets winning this 21-17. I think that Revis will be able to do a good job against Randy Moss. Wes Welker, he's going to get his catches, but they're going to be able to at least hold him to a respectable amount. The Jets' offense, it has to go up. Listen, they lost by Baltimore by 1 on the road. Everybody's panicking about how bad they are and everything. They lost by 1 to one of the best teams in the NFL. I think that at home, they're not going to lose 2 in a row. They're going to beat New England. And I got a score, like I said, 21-17. They'll be able to keep Tom Brady and Moss in check.
Okay, next we got Manning on Manning. Giants against Colts. Who wins?
The Manning Bowl. 4 years ago, Peyton Manning was able to beat his brother Eli in Giant Stadium. This time the game's in Indianapolis. I got the same result. The Colts are going to win this game. The pass rush is going to be too much for the Giants' offensive line. The Giants, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as effectively as Arian Foster and the Texans did last week. I know the Colts got a suspect secondary, and it was last week. Eli Manning was able to hit Hakeem Nicks for 3 touchdowns. Don't expect the same production. Bullet and Bethea in the cover 2 scheme will be able to hold them to a respectable number. Peyton, even though that he lost to the Texans last week, had a huge game against them. I think in the home opener, listen, it's as simple as this. Peyton Manning very rarely loses 2 straight games, and he's not going to lose the Manning Bowl this week.
Okay, the Saints against the 49ers.
Monday Night Football, and last week the 49ers just laid a huge egg at Seattle. It was just a terrible game. I thought that they were going to easily win that game, and Seattle just outplayed them in every facet of the game. I think it's going to be a more competitive game than expected, and a more defensive game than expected too. New Orleans was held to 14 last week in their own building by Minnesota. I think that New Orleans is going to take this game 28-21. Alex Smith is going to have a better game on the air. It has to get better from how bad he played last week. Frank Gore has an improved game, but the deciding factor, I think, will just be Drew Brees against Alex Smith. I'll take Drew Brees any day of the week against him. Got no huddle. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Matt Moore, question mark for this game. I'm still going to go with Carolina. I don't think that Tampa Bay has the weapons. They got to win against Cleveland, which was impressive, but you got to go with the running attack of the Carolina Panthers. Buffalo at Green Bay. Green Bay lost Ryan Grant for the year. Doesn't make a difference in this game. Green Bay's playing at home. Aaron Rodgers has a huge game against them. Brandon Jackson has a good game also. And also, John Kuhn will be a good fullback for them and a good second running back. Also, then we got Chicago at Dallas. Dallas, they had the heartbreaking loss last week with the 2 bad plays at the end of the first half and the second half. I expect a big win by Dallas against Chicago. DeMarcus Ware, Anthony Spencer, Jay Ratliff, huge games against a terrible Chicago Bears offensive line. Philadelphia at Detroit. Philly's going to take this, whether Kevin Cobb starts or not. All the Eagle fans were begging for Kevin Cobb to be benched after 1 week, 10 passes. Just stop, okay? Andy Reid put his entire coaching job on the line to trade McNabb to a division rival and get Kevin Cobb to be his franchise quarterback. He's not benching him for Michael Vick after 10 passes. But Cobb or Vick, Philadelphia will have a big win, and LaShawn McCoy has a huge game on the ground. No Stafford for the Lions, no chance this game. Arizona at Atlanta. Arizona got a win in the post-Kurt Warner era, but Atlanta, too much Michael Turner for them, too much Matt Ryan to Roddy White. Atlanta's defense will have a great game probably. I expect them to beat Arizona by 10-20 in this game. Then you got Kansas City at Cleveland. Kansas City had a big upset win over San Diego. I actually like Kansas City now. From what I've seen from them, they look like they could be a sleeper team in the AFC West. Don't be surprised they win this division, and I definitely have them winning this game at Cleveland. Then we got Seattle at Denver. Seattle looked really impressive against the 49ers last week. Huge win. But I'm going to take Denver at Mile High this week. No Sean Moreno has a big game. Champ Bailey, Brian Dawkins, able to lock down the Seattle passing game. Denver wins at Mile High. Then we got St. Louis at Oakland. Oakland, they were actually, as bad as the scoreboard looks, they played better than what the score was. And listen, St. Louis, they got rookie quarterback and everything. They're on the rise. Bradford looked good in his debut, but they're not going to have enough to beat Oakland in their home opener. Then we got Houston at Washington. Houston, big game from Arian Foster last week. I expect them to have around 100 yards this game. Arakpo, great game last week, beating on Alex Barron, but he's not going to beat on the same guys that he beat against Dallas' suspect offensive line. Jacksonville at San Diego. San Diego got beat in an upset last week. San Diego, Phillip Rivers will carry them to a win against Jacksonville this week. Jacksonville, not enough firepower to beat them.
Then we have Ocho Cinco versus the depleted secondary of the Ravens.
And that's it for week 2. Thank you for watching Offsides. I'm Tom Hughes.
I'm Anthony Rienzo.
And Kevin, we will have him back next week, so all of you can make your comments. Please add us, subscribe to us on Facebook, comment what you think about the show, and disagree with me, I'll respond to you. Thank you.
You get another video?